I used to drink coffee with Brenda every morning. Brenda had something good every day cooked. Yes, indeed. They had so many questions they were asking. Who do you think did it? They asked me, did you have anything to do with it? Why would I kill my little sister? She had been stabbed in the head 10 more times. It was a horrible death. I went to her casket. I told her, Brenda, before I die, I'm going to solve this murder. And I plan to do just that.
Opelousas used to be a very good place to live in. When I first started here, it was 1977. I enjoyed the people that I met in the street as an officer in the city, and the people that I worked with. You didn't have many homicides. Things started to change in the town. As the years went on, it got worse.
On the morning of May 20th, Brenda came to my house. I was graduating to get my GED, and Brenda came and started helping me make finger foods, cookies, sandwiches and stuff for the little party after my graduation. And Brenda stayed at my house until, I'm sure about 8:30 or 9 o'clock that night. And then it started raining real hard, lightning. The lightning was so bright you would think it was sunshine outside. It was raining really hard. Brenda went back to her apartment. She said she was going to go in for the night.
29-year-old Brenda DuPont rents a small apartment behind her sister Linda's home.
I used to drink coffee with Brenda every morning. And the next morning, I sent Lee Herbert, my son, to go get Brenda to come eat breakfast. But Brenda didn't answer the door. And then finally, after about the third or fourth time, I went to my landlord's house and asked her if I could use her phone to call the police, because I knew something was wrong. Brenda would have let us.
Officer knocks, but Brenda doesn't answer.
The first officer that arrived on the scene observed a window in the back that was open. And when she looked through the window, from her vantage point, she observed Brenda's body.
The officer now has to get inside Brenda's house any way she can.
When the police woman kicked the door in, I saw the mattress was kind of slanted against the bed frame, and I saw Brenda's body in a fetal position. Her little eyes were open, but I knew she wasn't alive. When I saw Brenda's body on the floor, and I saw all the blood, I started screaming. And it was hard because I had to call my family and tell them that Brenda was gone. It was really hard. Brenda was the youngest girl in 12 children. We were 6 girls and 6 boys, and Brenda was the baby girl. Brenda was my godchild. My mother chose me to be her godmother. My dad was a sharecropper. We had to miss the first 6 weeks of school to help my daddy harvest crops.
They were raised in a little country town on a bayou. Very poor people, like many families are from this area. Her dad fed his family catfish from Bayou Teche, and they lived a very, very loving life in that family.
I would have done anything for my little sister Brenda. We all had a share in spoiling Brenda. We called it in French, un gâteau chaud. She was my little hot cake. I spoiled her a lot. But Mom and Dad made sure we went to church. We had catechism once a week, like on Saturday mornings. Brenda didn't want to be dressy all the time. She wanted to be in her jeans sometimes, her little tank tops. But Mom and Dad always told Brenda, you can't wear just anything at church.
When Brenda is 18 years old, she gives birth to a daughter of her own, Monica.
I do believe she was a little bit nervous when she found out she was pregnant because she was young. But Brenda was a very good mother.
She started dating when her mother and father let her go, and she married the young man she was in love with. And that didn't last very long.
The breakup
Brenda was really depressed then. That's when the CPS got involved. And then that's how she lost custody of Monica. Brenda was depressed after they took Monica away from her. And they told her, the only way you get Monica back is for you to do what the doctors tell you to do, Brenda. She started taking her medications and she was abiding by it. Brenda moved next door to me and she was getting on her feet. Brenda would do what she had to do to get her daughter. Brenda was doing very well.
I received a call to proceed to the intersection of Church and Railroad. Did know Brenda. Brenda's sister, Linda, lived adjacent to her, and I knew that she had a daughter. Brenda was very easygoing. Brenda was funny. She didn't bother anybody.
I was working as a patrolman on that particular day. I knew Brenda lived at that residence. I knew Linda, her sister. I knew all of the people that lived in the house. This wasn't a big city at the time. I remember I passed by the crime scene. There was a lot of people out there.
Opelousas police videotape the gruesome crime scene.
Going into the crime scene and observing Brenda's body lying there, it was an overkill. There was blood everywhere. It was an efficiency home that Brenda lived in. It was a one bedroom kitchen. The thing that stood out to me was the multiple stab wounds and the bite marks. That in particular stood out to me. She had no clothes on. That struck out to me that we would have to request, sexual assault kit be administered during the autopsy. I was perplexed and angry at the same time. Angry because who in the world would do this to Brenda? When we were going through the crime scene, we were looking for any possible weapons, anything that the suspect could have left behind at that crime scene. We found no weapons in Brenda's house that could have caused this, or that was even linked to this.
Detective Victorian zeroes in on the locked door and open window.
You don't enter a person's house, and in theory at the beginning of Brenda's murder was that whoever killed her, she let him in. She knew him because the door was locked.
Detectives focus on the people living closest to Brenda, her sister Linda, and Linda's boyfriend, Diker Chavis.
They started questioning me. They had so many questions they were asking. Who do you think did it? Did you have anything to do with it? Why would I kill my little sister? I was angry with the police because they were looking directly at us. Nobody in my house did this. So if y'all want to find the true murderer, go out and find the true murderer.
The chief of police at the time summoned all the entire investigative division into going into canvassing the area. Sometimes people don't want to come forward right away. People see things that they don't think are important to investigators. A canvass is done to hopefully seek out someone who has information relative to the crime. But the initial canvass on that day revealed no new information relative to Brenda's death. It was extremely rare for this kind of murder. Something like we had never seen before. We were at a loss. This was brutal.
Adding to police pressure, people in the small community are scared that the killer isn't finished.
I was very paranoid after my sister was murdered. I wonder if that's the one that killed my sister. I wonder if he's gonna come after me.
A lot of people were concerned because that person who did commit that crime is still out there. And he's probably gonna kill again.
The first thing I was afraid of is that whoever killed Brenda would come back. And I was afraid of that.
Police process the crime scene, and the medical examiner takes Brenda's body to a funeral home.
It wasn't until I could get to the funeral home where we could do a thorough examination in the presence of the coroner.
I first became familiar with the Brenda DuPont case when I was working at the Louisiana State Police Crime Lab in 1988. There were over 75 items of evidence that were submitted to the Louisiana State Police Lab. I was able to look at the items from the sexual assault kit, such as the vaginal washings and the vaginal swabs. We were able to identify seminal fluid, that there was a sexual element involved to the case.
Investigators might have the killer's DNA, but there isn't much they can do with it.
Well, back in 1988, forensic DNA analysis was in its infancy. It just wasn't as precise and accurate and as widely available as we needed. There weren't really any workable databases back then to compare things to.
During the autopsy, the coroner finds bite marks and 31 stab wounds.
First thing that popped on me is if this was, certainly this was a crime of passion.
You want to talk to the people who live close. You want to talk to people who had knowledge of who she was and what she did. The investigators, they talked to several people who lived in the neighborhood in reference to the murder of Brenda DuPont. And you do want to talk to the family members. The sister lived right in front of Brenda DuPont.
They wanted to take me to Baton Rouge to take a lie detector test. And I was willing. I did the test, said I passed it. They didn't have to worry about me. So they continued testing other people that they thought would have done it.
Her friend, Dyker Chavis, was present.
Dyker was my boyfriend at the time. Yeah, he lived in the home with me. He was a working man. And he tried to do everything he could for me and my children. And would help Brenda too, Brenda and Monica, if they needed.
The attack on Brenda was brutal, and investigators believe Brenda's sister or her sister's boyfriend would have heard her screaming.
I believe they questioned Dyker a good bit, because here was Dyker, right next door.
Initially, we thought that Linda and Dyker's proximity